and I hope that it helps somebody out if they're trying to end up replicating some type of orange, or if you're just looking on the internet and you end up seeing this and it ends up helping you out come up with an idea. Alright, so what's up, you guys? So today I'm going to be doing an orange wood stain, dye stain I should say. So I'm going to be actually using lacquer thinner. This is a lacquer thinner, and I'm going to be using 3 colors of the 5-color kit from the Keda 5-color liquid dye stain. I'm going to be using the yellow, the red, and the brown, and I'm going to be adding just a touch of the brown just because it's going to end up adding just a little more depth to the color. It's just a nice color that I happen to like, and hopefully somebody else will end up finding it useful. So let's get into this. I'm pouring out a half a cup of lacquer thinner. Now you could probably end up getting away with 6 ounces of the lacquer thinner with this formula. You might even be able to do 8. It kind of depends upon the wood and your wood prep. For my wood prep, I'm actually going to be doing an oak. Check this board out. Look at that oak. It's like, I have not seen a figured oak like that in quite a while. But I just thought that is pretty cool stuff. And I also have a figured maple. So I got these boards from a local lumber mill as you know, I was sorting through some of the wood that they had there, and I ended up picking out some boards. I couldn't tell that some of these were highly, figured woods until I actually started planing them and cleaning them up a bit, but I actually got pretty lucky on a couple of these. Anyway, so let's get into this. For the wood prep on this, I used the wood specific sandpaper, a 120, a 150, and then to a 180 on both of these pieces, and that's really about it. On my final pass on the oak and the maple, I ended up doing a setting because I have a variable speed dual action sander, and I put the setting to a 4 and just slowed the spin down a little bit, and cleaned it off with tack cloth, and that's it. That's all the prep I did. So here's the yellow. So that was 1/8 teaspoon of the red. This is 1/8 teaspoon of the yellow. So you can see it's very orange already. Hopefully you can see that. It is a very bright orange already. So I mean, if you're just looking for just a straight up orange, this is a very good option as well. This is going to be an orange. It's just going to have a little more, it's just going to be a little bit darker orange. Not a whole lot darker, just a touch darker. So, and then for the brown. Now all I'm going to add with the brown is a couple of drops. So I'm going 1, 2, 3 drops. That's it. Alright, I'm going to give this a good shake up. Okay, so typically you want to let these acclimate to the lacquer thinner, like I've mentioned in previous videos before. The liquid dyes aren't, they don't need to acclimate quite as much as, say, a powder wood dye would, but it's always nice just to give them the opportunity to open up a little bit and acclimate into the liquid that they're in. So I hope I have good light on here. At least something adequate enough that it's going to show up pretty good. Okay, so let's get into this. For the purposes of this video, I'm just going to go right into the dye stain and apply it to the wood. Another thing that I guess I haven't been mentioning is some of the ratios that I end up doing on these dyes. They may not work with other brands, so if you end up coming to this video and you're using a different wood dye, and it just doesn't work out for you, and it's just very light or something like that, I really apologize. I'm not trying to do anything like that. It's just I'm using this Keda Dye Kit, and I hope that you understand. So anyways, I'm putting this on the oak. And I may fast forward through a little bit of this just to get this on here and get it going. But look at the grains on that, huh? Isn't that's incredible? Look at the grain. That's an oak. That's no joke, huh? Now, I know it looks a little bit light now, but that's just the way the dyes work. It takes a little bit of time for the dyes to really start to darken up and color into the wood. Okay, so this is the first coat. Actually, I may end up just touching this up a bit after I'm done with the maple, just to add a little more on there as we go, because I want it to be a nice dark color. Not dark, but that it's saturated very well so that it shows up on the camera very well, because to me in person right now, this is a very bright, vivid, beautiful, gorgeous orange, especially with this incredible figuring of the oak. It's just gorgeous. Anyways, so let's get on with the maple, and we'll see how this ends up drying out, because I know on camera sometimes it doesn't always necessarily show the exact color, and sometimes with just a lighting situation. But anyways, here we go. Yeah, I'm just kind of looking on an angle just to see if there's any uneven colors, any lap lines, anything like that. So this is the maple with the with this orange color that I'm working on. Here again we have the oak. Wow, that's just gorgeous. Man, this dye is just phenomenal. Anyways, I'm just gonna actually do a little touch up on this here. Basically all I'm doing is just adding a little bit more on here. And like I said, the only reason I'm really doing that is just because I want it to be much more vibrant and darker on the camera, because right now it's a pretty nice color, and I'd probably use it just as it is. So hopefully that's showing up a little bit better on the color itself. But I'm just gonna lay another one on here. Then I'm gonna let these dry out, and then I will come back and we'll evaluate it. I'm not gonna put a follow-up full second coat on here. I know some people are gonna think that this is really a second coat, but this hasn't fully dried yet, so I wouldn't really call it a full second coat. It's just kind of a follow-up, and we'll take a look then when I come back. Boy, that is just beautiful, isn't it? See, this is why I didn't do the dyes in the primary colors that come with the kit, with the blue, the black, the brown, the red, and the yellow, you know, on a fancy wood like this, because it's really gonna end up obscuring the, you know, the results, because the wood is really gonna steal the show with something like this. And I mean, even though it would show beautiful results, I figure something with the color formulas, I'm gonna end up using a little better wood with some more figuring in it, so that way, you know, we can see what the wood dye's capabilities really are. So, all right, you guys, thanks for checking this out, and I'm gonna let these dry out, and we'll come back in a little bit and we'll seal them up. All right, so I'm back. Unfortunately, today I have kind of a gray day going on. There's not very good sunlight coming from this direction, but we will try to make do with what we have. So I'm just wiping this down with a light to medium pressure, just to lift off any excess dyes if there's any on there. Again, this is with the Keda Dye Kit. We're using the liquid dyes for this. Beautiful orange color. And this is the oak. This is the figured maple. This is a curl maple. As you can see, it has some beautiful distinguishing marks of figuring on this piece. And so far, the color actually looks pretty similar to what I'm actually viewing in person. I think the white backdrop makes a big difference on it. So yeah, well, let's just get into it. I'm going to be using a lacquer, just a rattle can lacquer. And typically I don't use a rattle can quite often, but as I've mentioned previously, typically what I'll do is I'll use a canister spray gun. But with my compressor and the sheer volume of the bounce back from the lacquer, I just chose to use a rattle can for the purposes of these videos. So, well, let's just get into it. I'm just going to give this a very light dusting on this first one, and we'll take a look. So that's all I'm doing on this very first coat. As you can see, it's just a very light dusting, just enough to cover the surface. That way it doesn't interfere with the dye. It also helps me to conserve on lacquer. It's a pretty good trick. Try it yourself, see if it works out for you. But anyways, that was the figured maple. Here is the oak with that gorgeous orange color on there. So anyways, if you want to, say, darken this up to more like a pumpkin color, like a pumpkin spice or something similar to that effect, you can add a couple of, I would say, like maybe 1 or 2 more drops of the brown to this formula at this ratio. Otherwise, also it depends on the wood as well, on how you're going to end up having certain colors. Like if the wood has a browner color to it, well, then it could end up turning more of a pumpkin color within itself. If that's the case, just add a couple more drops of the red and the yellow. So say like 6 drops of each red and yellow to this color ratio on top of the 1/8 teaspoon, and you should end up getting something like that's similar to this. All right, so this is the very first flash coat of this orange. As you can see, it's just a beautiful color. So I'm gonna actually just do a follow-up coat, and we'll just kind of take it from there. I'm not going to do a between coat sand. I usually do that on a second coat, and then I'll top it off with a third coat. So, all right, let's just get these knocked out. And I'll actually, I'll do it just one at a time. Okay, here we go. Now, I'm not going to put a whole lot of lacquer on here. I'm probably going to fast forward through some of this. I'm just going to give a light dust, a little bit heavier than a light dusting again. Alright, so I'm just checking now to make sure that I have the entire surface wetted out. And it's looking pretty good for me. So I am now going to move on to the maple. Boy, that is just gorgeous, isn't it? Yeah, these Keda liquid dyes are just, they're very, very, very beautiful. All right, here we go with the maple. Okay. All right, and that's that. Just again, just checking to make sure that this is all wetted out. And it looks pretty good. And yep, looks good to me. So I'm gonna finish the rest of this off camera, and hopefully that we can get a good sample without any defects in the top coating process. All right, but usually if you go with lighter coats and maybe add a couple more coats, I find that I usually get better results. Honestly, I really do. Instead of going with heavier coats, I'm just trying to very lightly cover the surface of this piece of wood, so that way it's completely covered, but I'm not going very heavy with it, so that way I can layer it up. Okay? All right. Okay, so this is the finished result of the orangish color. It's an orange color that has just a slight modification of brown to it. I just found it to be a very beautiful color, and I just kind of wanted to share it with you guys in case you wanted to end up making color formula similar for a project of your own using the Keda liquid dyes. This is on the curly maple. Again, this is 1/8 teaspoon of both the yellow and the red, with the couple of drops of brown as seen earlier in the video, and I just did an 8-ounce formula for this batch. Since Halloween is coming up and stuff, I just thought, hey, this would be a good color to end up sharing with people. And it's just a very beautiful, vibrant orange. It's kind of like a fiery orange. I'm not exactly sure what the particular exact name or the detail of what the color is, but I hope it's something that's beneficial for you guys. So this is the maple. This is a curly maple. It's very, very figured wood. I hope that this is giving a good color demonstration and representation of what it actually looks like. As far as what I'm seeing on the viewfinder, it's looking pretty accurate in a color. So hopefully this white background is what has done the trick for giving a better accuracy on the color representation. Okay, and then here we get to this oak. This oak that has a lot of figuring of its own, and it's just a beautiful color on this oak as well. It's you know, these are just knots, I believe, in the oak, and it really adds some good figuring and features to this wood. And Again, it's just the same color formula, and it looks just gorgeous here in person. On the viewfinder, it's looking pretty good as well. I mean, the color is pretty accurate. It just has so much more depth in these knots. I'm not sure how well that's going to show up, if it's going to pick up on the camera at all, but it's just very, very, very pretty. Here, maybe if I put it this way, this will show up a little better. Oh, gotta kind of watch with these glares. The glare ends up making the camera a little grumpy, I guess. But anyways, so I really hope that this is showing up very well, because this is just an absolute gorgeous piece right here. It's a beautiful color. So again, I hope that this ends up, you know, giving you guys a good representation of a beautiful orange color formula, and I hope that it helps somebody out if they're trying to end up replicating some type of orange, or if you're just looking on the internet and you end up seeing this and it ends up helping you out come up with an idea. So alright, you guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.